My name is Laya. I am 29 years old. I reside in a quaint town named Harbor Hill near the sea. My life appears tranquil from an external perspective. A modest rented room, apposition at a bakery, an old bicycle, yet my heart is filled with narratives that I never share with anyone. I was not always solitary. A few years back, I lived in the city with my parents. I pursued art studies at college. I cherished painting flowers, birds, and the sky. My aspiration was to establish a small art studio. However, life shifted too rapidly. At the age of 22, my father became seriously ill. He labored diligently throughout his life in a small repair shop. He never took vacations. He consistently advised me, "Lila, follow your dreams, paint the world for him." I vowed to him that I would. But when he fell ill, I withdrew from college. I remained at home to assist my mother. We sold numerous items to cover hospital expenses. My father fought valiantly, but one winter night he departed from us forever. Subsequently, my mother and I relocated to Harbor Hills. We could no longer afford the city rent. In the new town, I undertook various small jobs, cleaning houses, working at the bakery, and assisting elderly individuals with their shopping. My mother grieved for my father profoundly. She ceased to laugh. She neglected her nutrition. She spent her days sitting by the window. One rainy night, she went to sleep and did not awaken again. I felt as though the sky had collapsed upon me. I was alone in the world. No finances, no family, no dreams remaining. I ceased painting. I stopped singing. I stopped living. I merely existed. I arose each morning at 4 a.m., went to the bakery, prepared bread, cakes, and tea for customers. I smiled at them. I said, "Have a pleasant day." But internally, I felt hollow. I returned home, brewed tea for myself, sat by the small window, and gazed at the sea. I inquired of the sea, "Why me?" But the sea remained silent. One evening, as I was closing the bakery, a man entered. He appeared fatigued and disoriented. He asked, "Is it too late for coffee?" I was on the verge of responding, "We're closed." However, there was something in his gaze that prompted me to invite him in, saying, "Come in, sit down." His name was Eli. He had recently arrived in town working as a fisherman. Although he hailed from a large city, he departed in search of tranquility. He remarked, "City lights are bright, but they do not warm the heart." I found that statement appealing. From that evening onward, he visited regularly. Occasionally, he brought bread. Other times, he only had tea. He consistently occupied the same corner table. Our conversations touched upon the sea, music, and the aspirations we once held. One night, he inquired, "Lila, what did you dream of before?" I recounted my memories of paints and brushes, of flowers on expansive white paper, and of colors that brought a smile to my father's face. He asked, "Why did you stop?" I averted my gaze. Life demanded my labor, not my dreams. On a rainy night, reminiscent of my father, I locked up the shop and stepped outside. Eli was there, holding an umbrella. He offered, "I'll walk you home." I replied, "It's okay, I'm fine." He smiled and said, "I know, but you don't always have to be fine alone." We strolled leisurely, the rain gently falling on the umbrella. Upon reaching my modest home, he remarked, "Lila, you are like a lighthouse. Even when you feel empty, you illuminate the path for others." I was at a loss for words. The following week, I returned home from work to discover something on my doorstep. It was an old wooden box filled with paints and brushes. A small note read, "For your flowers, your birds, your sky, paint again, Eli." I sat on the floor and wept. I cried for my father, for my mother, and for all my forsaken dreams. And I picked up a brush. My hand trembled, yet I applied blue to the white paper. It was not flawless, but it was vibrant. Each evening, Eli came by, sometimes with bread, other times with fish from the sea. He never requested anything in return. He simply sat with me as I painted once more. He shared his own struggles as well, revealing how his father had never taken pride in him, how he felt insignificant in a vast world, and how the sea restored his strength. One evening he gazed at me and softly remarked, "Lila, you have saved me as well. I was lost when I arrived here. I discovered you, and now I feel at home." My heart began to open. I was frightened. I replied, "Eli, I am still fractured. My heart has its fissures." He took my hand and reassured me, "It's all right, Leia. Light seeps in through the fissures." Spring arrived gradually. My modest room brimmed with new artworks, yellow blossoms, verdant fields, and azure birds. Eli located a small vacant shop in town and proposed, "This can serve as your studio." I chuckled, stating that I lacked the funds for rent. He responded, "We will accomplish this together. I will assist in repairing the walls, painting the door, and making it beautiful. You can bring the flowers inside." Thus we proceeded. We cleared away old shelves, painted the walls white, and adorned the window with fairy lights. We named it Laya's Little Light Studio. Townsfolk visited, purchasing my small paintings and requesting lessons for their children. My dream began to revive. One evening, we sat on the floor of my studio, surrounded by candles, tea, and soft melodies. Eli turned to me and said, "Lila, I understand you were broken. I know you still long for them, but look at who you are now. You are present, you are alive, your love." I sensed my heart with all its fissures gradually being filled with love. I whispered, "Thank you, Eli, for discovering me." He kissed me tenderly. The kiss was not a display of fireworks. It was gentle and warm, akin to the morning sun following a prolonged winter. At that moment, I realized that life can indeed shatter you. However, love seeks you out when you possess the courage to remain tender. Now, each morning, I bake bread at the bakery and paint in my studio. Eli brings me flowers from the sea cliffs. We share simple dinners and converse about eternity. Not a grand, glittering eternity, just a small, gentle eternity. I still yearn for my parents. There are still days when I sit by the window and inquire of the sea, "Do you see me now?" Yet I now understand that they would be proud. I am still here, I am still striving, I am still loving. If your heart feels shattered, please keep in mind that one day the light will return. It may arrive gradually, perhaps gently, but it will come, and when it does, allow it to enter. I appreciate you taking the time to hear my story. If you are feeling isolated, remember that your narrative is not finished yet.